Hello and welcome to this video with me, Coach Reese. I hope you're all doing really well. So in today's video, we're going to continue to take a look at the 4-2-3-1 formation. If you haven't checked out the previous two videos around the formation, I suggest you do that before checking this one out. As always, I will leave timestamps and chapters below. So let's get started. So as we start to think about attacking in the 4-2-3-1, we need to start thinking about what kind of shapes we might use. And with the 4-2-3-1, the most common attacking shape that we see is the 2-3-5. And in our example, we've set it up similar to how Arsenal would set it up, more so when they used Smith Rowe from the left. So we've got Smith Rowe inverting, we've got Ødegaard in the right half space who would usually be supporting Saka. That creates our 5 across, and then we have our 2-3 rest defence. Another option that we might see is we might see some teams use a 3-2-5, but that's becoming a little bit less frequent. Teams are opting more for the 2-3-5. Now let's bring the opposition in, and we're going to set them up in a 4-4-2 low block. And with this, the first group of players that we need to take a look at is what we're going to call the wide trios. So these are our players within the wide zones, the half space, and one of our members of the rest defence. It will either be our central midfielder on the left side or our right back on the right side. And this creates those wide trios. When we're thinking about these wide trios, we're thinking about how these players not only interact with each other, but interact with the space around them. So we might think about how they rotate between positions or between areas. And this is a really, really effective tool of the 4-2-3-1. So at the moment, with our right back and our attacking midfielder positioned in the half space, the opposition's defensive block can remain central and it can remain quite compact, which means it can be difficult for us to release our dangerous players, so our attacking midfielder or our striker, in areas where they can start to cause damage to the opposition's block. So in order to start moving the opposition's block laterally, an option that we have whilst thinking about our wide trio is we can move our right back into the wide zone. This creates something called dual width. And with this, once we move 2 players into the wide zone, we start to trigger alarm bells for defensive players. So as the opposition's block starts to move toward these 2 players, distances start to increase between players. And as these distances increase, spaces start to increase. Now, if we're thinking about the third man, in an ideal world, our danger player is our attacking midfielder within the half space. An option that we have to release this player is to play from our right back, so the ball might arrive from our right centre back into our right back now who's moved wide, who can play forward into our right midfielder, who can then set it back to our attacking midfielder within the half space and who's hopefully facing goal. If we can get them facing goal, they may be able to release our striker with a half space cross into the box, or whatever they may see as the best option, but we can get them into a position where they can really start to cause danger and disruption to the opposition's block. Another option that we have when we're thinking about these wide trios is we might see our attacking midfielder drop. And as our attacking midfielder drops, we can then invert our right midfielder, who's now taking up the space that was once occupied by the attacking midfielder. And just by the drop in attacking midfielder, it just creates that little bit of disruption, so they may engage a player as they make that action, and once that happens, we might open up a little bit more space for our right midfielder. And as our right midfielder inverts, we've got our fullback who may overlap. These 3 players within the 4-2-3-1, which has now moved into the 2-3-5, is really, really important, and it's where a lot of the success comes for the 4-2-3-1. It's a really, really dangerous area because it's where we have our natural overload, so we might see a 3v2 or a 3v1 or a 2v1. So a lot of the work that comes from the 4-2-3-1 when attacking is from out wide and from within these wide trios. Whilst this is happening and whilst we're seeing the effectiveness of the wide trio, we've actually moved our right back away from our rest defence structure. And if we're thinking about the rest defence structure, it's there to protect against opposition counter-attacks or to support a counter-press. So it's really important that we maintain balance whilst this is happening. And this comes from with the 4 remaining players who are within that rest defence. So in this example, we have our 2 centre-backs and our 2 central midfielders who are a double pivot. As we see the ball with our right back, our double pivot and our centre-back now create this box. And it's really important that this box remains intact, because this then is the protection against opposition counterattacks. The role of the striker is really important within the 4-2-3-1. So if the ball's with our wide trios, the striker should be in a position ready to attack the box from a cross that might come from within the half space, as we've discussed. But if the team's trying to progress centrally, we can often see the striker take up a more false nine kind of role. So we'll see the striker drop into the area between the opposition's defensive and midfield line. As this happens, hopefully they engage a centre-back and the centre-back moves with them, and this then can release space for other players to attack. So it might be a member of our wide trio. So as our striker drops, our winger or attacking midfielder who are in the half spaces can then attack the box. Also, as the striker drops, they may look to receive the ball in this area, potentially turn and shoot, or more often than not, they'll be looking to bring other players into the game. So they may be looking to release one of the two players in the half spaces between the lines, who can then, again, as we discussed in our third man video, if we can get them facing goal, which is a good opportunity to happen, if our striker receives and sets back, they can then release other players who are attacking the area. So it might be the opposite wide player or the opposite fullback, whoever it might be. So that's a look at some of the attacking options that we have available when using the 4-2-3-1. We can't possibly cover everything, but hopefully I've given you a few ideas of what might happen and what you can look out for the next time you see a team using the 4-2-3-1. I do have a Ko-fi page if you'd like to support me on the channel. A huge thank you to those that have already done so. As always, remember to like, comment and subscribe. I've been Coach Reese. Have a great day.